Hey everyone, welcome back to season 3 of OverVoice episode 1. And here I have the lovely voice actor, director, mixer, goofball himself, Tom Schalk. Would you like to introduce yourself, my man?
Hi, everybody. Well, you did such a good job. I don't want to ruin it. I'll just say I'm Tom Schalk. I am a voiceover artist. I am a sound designer by trade. I make content. I that includes videos for TikTok, YouTube. Sometimes I make music. Um, and yeah, I think goofball is a good way to kind of summarize a lot of stuff I do. I like to make a lot of funny posts for Twitter and stuff as well, just as a an exercise of skill sets. So but yeah, we've known each other for a bit,
Hell yeah,
and
it's been since like 2021, I think. Yeah, I think that sounds about right.
I thought it was earlier,
Earlier? Hmm.
maybe 2020, maybe
No,
2021 actually sounds about accurate. The whole 2020 to 2022 is kind of like a giant one single blur of a
yeah.
memory. It just feels like
Oh yeah.
one blob, especially for me.
No,
Um,
100%. Yeah.
because the duration of like the worst of the pandemic, I was in a different state than where I usually am. So that was fun.
Hell yeah. So just the first question, which I'm assuming, just to get this one out of the way, everyone expects this question, but yeah, what got you into voice acting and what was your journey like?
So the earliest thing I remember is in high school where someone just says, "Oh, you have a good announcer voice. You should be an announcer." That's what they would say is announcer. Um, I guess because they think of like like people on the speakers in the high school, or they think of like hockey games. My school is a big sports uh place, so I guess they said announcer. I just thought it was funny because I thought announcer and voiceover artists would be like different things, which technically they are. Especially because voiceover specific is where it went. Um, I took it to heart. I was like, yeah, you know what? I've always admired cartoons. I loved the idea at that time. I wanted to be everything. I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be a director. I wanted to be an editor. I wanted to be a producer. Hardly knowing what a producer or a director or an editor does. I just wanted to make stuff.
Hell yeah.
So one of the things I definitely wanted to at least try was voiceover. So that one Christmas or birthday, I asked for a condenser USB mic. I got the Samsung C03U, which is on my desk right now and is the one
Oh,
I'm currently using for this interview. Uh, a beautiful starter mic, I think. If someone's wanted to just like try it out, USB microphones are fine because they offer a decent enough quality for you to like get started at least in amateur productions. Um, and it makes for very clear Discord calls. So
yeah, sure.
um, so I got this and I started practicing. I would just open up Audacity and make like little bits just for myself because I had fun with just making up characters talking to each other, making bits that I probably don't find nearly as funny now, but just had fun doing at the time. Um I also like at the time I started on Fiverr, so I was like doing like little bits and ads for people for like $5. And I was on the voice acting club. I was on voice acting alliance when that was a thing. I would just cold shoot messages to people to be parts of projects. And one of the earliest things I had ever done was the Chinese bootleg subtitle version of Star Wars Revenge of the Sith called Backstroke of the West because there was a weird flip in translation how it goes from English to Chinese back to English. So someone took a script of the film that did that process and put it on. It has some really hysterical mistranslations. That's where the phrase "do not wand" comes from with the Darth Vader picture. It came from that mistranslation, and it's like its own meme. And when they came to the English dub, I remember messaging the guy saying like, "Do you need a voice actor for Vader?" Because that Vader was always like a dream role for me. So I was like, "Can I be Vader?" And he took me on. So that was one of the earliest things I'd ever done for a voiceover thing ever. And down the line, I would get more familiar with the industry, meet more people, go to conferences. I would go to coaches and classes and meet just a lot of people, get a lot of intel. get a demo, another demo, my commercial and my animation demo. And I would move along and get on rosters, and I'd be signed with regional agencies as I am now. And at this time, I'm still working my way towards a national agent, but I've been getting a lot of work just hunting on my own.
Hell yeah.
And I've been really excited to say some of the stuff that I still can't talk about, but also it's just a lot of fun to do for me personally, because it's the best way I can ever express myself, is just using my voice for something.
Hell yeah. And express yourself you surely damn do. So fair props to you, man.
It could be for the better or worse, but yes, I do try.
Yeah, so my next question to you is so if you may have heard of Tom Shock before in Mr. Skeleton Man. I don't know what you call him, but
I believe you're referring to Skullboy.
Skullboy, that's the one. You've seen him around. How so yeah, what was like you
I think you're talking about. Let me just. You're talking about Mr. Skullboy himself here. Yes. This is him. Yeah, this is the same prop from the video.
Oh my god, you still have him. That's awesome.
The video itself didn't have the Velcros, but when I had made other videos since, he has the Velcros on there, and it makes the point clear that he is
Angry.
easily irritable.
So yeah, obviously that video like blew up like a lot. You got reacted to by PewDiePie and stuff like that, and that was like just
PewDiePie and Jacksepticeye.
oh my god, I didn't know about Jack. That's crazy. So
I also found out, and this blew my mind, that Egoraptor / Aaron Hansen had not only seen the video, but it said he really liked it. It got reposted. I think I reposted, or someone reposted it, and I saw his comment. I'm like, he knows about it. Like, I still surprise myself with who's seen the video. Like, a lot of people have. The fact that it blew up the way it did is still to this day so strange and very cool. So
yeah,
I take it in stride that it's one of those happy little accidental explosions. Because when I first put it up on my Instagram, I was just like, oh, it's getting a couple of views, it's getting a couple of likes, it's great. Let me put on my Twitter. The 10,000 views in like the same day, which by the next was 100,000, and then it got ripped by other people onto like TikTok, and that's where it really blew up. And it's crazy. That's what got me onto TikTok, because it was blown up there. It's like, shoot, if I'm gonna be making stuff that could get elsewhere, like on TikTok, especially at the time when TikTok was really booming, if it's gonna be on there, I should be on there so people know where it's from. I wanted them to know like where it came from. So I went there, I uploaded the original, and eventually it got more views than the copies did, but or at least sometimes it's weird because I'll repost sometimes just be like, hey, anniversary sort of thing, and then it'll get like a couple of views. Some random person will upload it and it'll get like 2 million in a couple of days. I'm like, I don't understand the algorithm. I don't get it at all. I've never understood any algorithm whatsoever.
Yeah,
but the most important thing to me is that people really took to the character, and to just to like the video itself. It was the perfect storm. It was done in one shot.
Yeah,
because it was completely impromptu with my coworker at the time. He's a buddy of mine, and we would always be riffing on each other. And I had this idea with the skeleton for literally weeks. Like, I was scripting in my head what to say to him, because I knew exactly the kind of buttons to press to get him to laugh, because he would do the same thing to me whenever we're like bantering at our job at the time. And it was early Halloween. No, it wasn't on Halloween. I think it was around Halloween, pretty close to the actual Halloween day. And it was like 5 a.m. in the morning, 6 a.m. in the morning, because we had to be in really early because it was a big retail store involving Halloween props and stuff. And I just pulled him in the back and said, I need you to help me with something. I just started doing. I just went off right there. I think it was like I start off wrong for just like a second, like a second, like a whole, like if you count one, that was all. And then I did it again, and that's where it all went out. It played pretty much. He reacted exactly how I thought he would. My buddy Carlos, he has a contagious charm when it comes to like the banter that we do. So like I like when he starts laughing, I start laughing. I had to hold it in the whole time. And yeah, and it was so much bigger after the fact than I ever thought it would be. Because it was just like a dumb video I thought was funny and I wanted to show people. And to the point that people were asking for more. And now every Halloween I try to think of something to do with him. I like even just little bits.
Hell yeah. There's
I have
plenty of skeleton jokes out there, so you'll have content.
even beyond the skeleton jokes, just like putting the character into situations. Like I always have ideas for sketches to have him involved in. Like I see him as this character that's always trying to make himself the funniest person in the room or to become infamous for being a comedian, and he keeps failing. And I want to put him in those situations. I have these overly ambitious ideas that take a lot more time and possibly money, more importantly time and effort than I'm able to give, given them juggling like the voiceover stuff and mixing and a lot and just life in general. But I always have him in mind. I'm always thinking of stuff.
Yeah, because how old is that video now? Is because that's like a classic at this point.
2019.
Oh wow, okay, so like nearly
2019, the Halloween of 2019, and it has shown up every Halloween since.
Oh, so like 4 or 5 years now, yeah.
5 No, it's not 4 years.
Yeah,
it's 4 years.
4 years, man.
4 years. 2019 feels like last year. 2020 feels like yesterday. So the whole skew of time just feels off.
But like so much shit has happened, it's crazy how fast it goes sometimes.
And maybe because like it was just shy before the pandemic really hit when that blew up, but I imagine that because it still carried over in popularity several months after the fact. And it's one of those videos I think might have hopefully left a positive impression for people to
100%. I don't think
get through like some of the rougher parts of things going on, especially in 2020 itself. It popped up again, and same in 2021. That's still a pandemic, and a lot of people were online more.
Yeah,
people were on TikTok more, and that's where it really blew up. And I started getting messages from people who wanted to work with me because they knew about Skullboy.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, this guy should be a voiceover actor. And then I'll be like, I am. That's what I do. And then I would get an email from people saying, I recognize you from the Skullboy video. I'd love to, can you work with me on this? I'm like, sure. Yeah. Because that's the fun part for me is like not that everything's a means to an end, but it's fun to be able to show people like goofy stuff like that because it has everything to do with what I do. I like to make up characters because I like to write. I like to give them silly voices because I do voiceover work for both animation and video games and commercials. So I like to show people what I can do. And sometimes what I could do is incredibly spontaneous and seems like it's nonsensical at the time, I guess.
Because I knew you as a voice actor, director, and mixer first, so like imagine my surprise when I found out you're Skullboy, and like you also, I remember watching this old Pokemon video you did. I think it was like Blastoise and Charizard.
Yeah. Well, question about the Skullboy thing. Did you find out about me being the Skullboy guy after working with me or before?
After.
That's funny. That's actually really funny. people often, I bumped into a lot of people who find out after the fact. Yeah. But a couple of rare times people bump it before. It's like, that was you? And yeah, no, the Pokemon things was Pokebuds. It was a series of Source Filmmaker animations I made for just kind of like little banters of dialogue between Blastoise and Charizard. The whole joke to me, my personal thing that made the joke in the first place, the original video was Blastoise versus Charizard. You have this intense looking thumbnail of Blastoise and Charizard about to fight, and you watched it and they're just having an argument. So they are fighting.
Yeah.
But it's not the fight people expect. So that to me was the personal joke. And I don't know if that was ever something that people picked up on or not, but it's something that's how the joke started for me. So I was like, I want to make it engaging enough that people stick around for the dialogue, but just like, I don't know if they're going to be waiting for a fight or not. I wanted to escalate to just about enough where it's like not going to get into a fight, but it's like, you can tell there's tension. Yeah. It was something that I it was like when I was mentioning I would make those banters for practice on my microphone to start out. That was one of them. I literally had that dialogue, and it was a little longer than the original animation too. There was like some extra stuff I cut out just to kind of make it flow better for the animation bit. And I ended up liking it better when it was shorter anyway, because the pacing just made it better. And I was toying around with Source Filmmaker a whole lot. The first ever Source Filmmaker thing I made myself and was relatively pleased with was Bowser walking up to Master Chief, who then kicks him in his Koopa nuts. And it had dialogue. He says something like, "And what makes you think you can stop me?" or something like that. And then he just kind of kicks him there. I just wanted to see if I could do it, and I made some other like little things. I thought, okay, I'm getting good enough. I'm not like an expert animator or anything, but I want to like see what I could do with like dialogue and body expression, and because there's a little bit of that in that video and in the sequel video I made there too. And that one took off. And I remember some people being frustrated with me not monetizing it, but I literally didn't want to risk like it getting like the fact is it was using Pokemon characters from Nintendo, all copyright stuff, and I didn't know. I don't know even if today if I decided to switch it on, if I get in trouble, I don't want to risk it because it means more to me that people see it and enjoy it. There are things I'll want to put out and get monetized because it'll be my stuff and I want to be a content creator who gets paid to make content. But I wouldn't. I would go out of my way to make sure that people would be able to see it no matter what.
Sure. 100%, man. Like, you got the more stuff you make, it's just more fun. Just like making your own stuff anyway. It's just fun to do anyway.
I've been making random crap for I want to say since I've been born, because as a kid I would always, funny thing about Pokemon, I remember being on the Nintendo 64 playing Pokemon Stadium, and every time Pokemon would come up I would give them voices and I would make them talk to each other almost like toys in my head. I would like have them give dialogue. Like if Blastoise showed, I'd be like, "I'm gonna blast you with my shell," stuff like that. And then if Alakazam came, I was like, "Prepare to be hypnotized." I would do that as a kid, and because I just like the idea of knowing what they sound like. It would blow my mind to know if a Pokemon ever talked. I just imagined like, what would a Pokemon sound like if it ever talked? So I was like, it was never gonna happen. So I said, I'll do it. I'll make them talk.
Yeah. I mean, we have to.
I'll do it. They won't do it. I'll do it. So I did as a kid, and that was just my way of like having fun with random ideas as a kid. Was giving things little voices and putting them in scenarios in my head.
I mean, we do have Detective Pikachu now, so that's like the only Pokemon that can speak, I think, and Mewtwo, I guess. In this other one.
Wait, there was that movie that came out where Pikachu spoke to Ash, right?
Wait, that was. Oh yeah, that's right. That was like the Mewtwo one where he.
Wait, is there another Pikachu talking?
I don't know. I only know of Detective Pikachu.
There's like a retelling of the first episode of Pokemon. And like Ash is like beat up, like, "Boy, we're really in for it now, Pikachu." And Pikachu's like, "I just wanted you to know I love you and you're
that one I know. Yeah, that one I know.
That's the only one I knew of. I didn't know if you knew. Is there another one, or is that the one you're thinking of?
I was thinking of like Detective Pikachu. That's like the one.
Oh, well, yeah, that too. That too. Like that would have blown my mind as a kid.
Yeah.
The fact that Mewtwo spoke was pretty awesome.
Yeah. And like I remember, I love that you brought up Pokemon Stadium because I remember playing that. The thing that freaked me out was like Venusaur's like bloodshot eyes when doing this fucking solar beam. That fucking scared the shit out of me. Like
he's
it's like he was in pain.
He's been dealing with the wrong herbs, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Or the right ones.
Yeah,
he's been kicking it easy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I can fight him. Just give me a second.
Just the eyes with the lasers just comes out of the flower.
Venusaur, you solar beam. What? I can get high off my own supply.
Yeah, it takes him a few turns though.
Takes him
But yeah, moving on. As some of you may or may not know, Tom has voiced a lot of characters in a show that I've loved for like 11 years now. God, 11 years. Called Death Battle. So you've voiced the Kool Aid Man,
Oh
Omni
yeah.
Man, Dio, SpongeBob, and I think you were also in Dragon Ball vs. Chosen Undead. I think you were like the announcer. I think.
Yeah, I forget that it had a very the chosen warrior, that guy who speaks over his shoulder. That guy.
Yeah.
I'm not
So
super familiar with the Dark Souls games, but I looked up a lot of the clips to make sure I could get decently close to the original voice.
So yeah, and so as you can see or hear, he's got quite the range for like all those characters. So so what odds? Like, what was like your experience, working with Death Battle and stuff, and like seeing it, like when it came out and stuff, because that must have been crazy.
Death Battle I was a fan of since high school, if
Yeah,
not earlier. I remember when I was starting out in voiceover work, I wanted to get into Death Battle. That was a bucket list thing for me.
hell yeah,
And I had reached out to one of the original directors of the project, I think through Facebook. I think at the time you had to like
Facebook,
pay,
yeah,
I think you had to like pay like $5 to message somebody you didn't know. I don't know if there was something like that, but I was like, I'm a professional. Maybe this will be worth it. So I reached out to them on Facebook saying like, "Hi, I'm a voice actor, and I'd like to know if you guys are casting ever for Death Battle." They said, "Yeah, sure. We put you on our email list, sure." And I was an amateur at the time, so I got the auditions for Lionel versus He-Man, and I'm
oh,
working
oh
in like
wow,
in my shed with this mic, and it was, I don't think it was this mic. I might have had this mic, or I might have gotten the XLR by the time I had done that,
yeah,
because my XLR was
that's like 10 years ago. Oh my god, tell me
yeah.
this.
And I didn't sound nearly as advanced in voiceover as I do now, and I didn't have the equipment, so I didn't. And of course it was always competitive. So at the time it didn't cast, and I didn't hear for a while, and then they moved. I think because they moved to Sound Cadence,
Yeah,
and then when I got into a Sound Cadence, I started getting those auditions again. I'm like, all right, I'm more experienced. Let's go. And the first one I booked was Kool Aid Man. I was literally like, oh yeah, like I was like so excited to ever be in a death battle, to be in a death battle at all was crazy, and it was like an anniversary sort of
yeah, you were fighting Macho
episode.
Man. Oh my god.
I was Macho Man ready. I auditioned for both, and I thought I was going to get Macho Man. To be honest, I don't know why. I felt like I don't know. I don't think if I wasn't getting Macho Man, I don't think I'm gonna have a shot at all. But then I ended up getting Kool Aid Man. It's always the ones you don't expect.
Yeah.
And then I found out that Antfish was Macho Man. I was like, oh, that's sick, because
Oh
I
yeah.
he's a an actor I've been a fan of for a while. Got to meet him in
Yeah.
Canada recently. I went on a trip to Canada, a business trip. Also pleasure to see friends of whom are producers. My buddy Martin lives near ish to Toronto, and
Nice.
we met up for the live premiere of the DKC Return to Crocodile Isle animation, which
Yeah,
now
that's
is.
right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I went there and I saw it in its completion for the first time there, and I and Fish swung by, and we all got to hang out. Um, and I made a lot of friends while I was there too. It was really cool.
Hell yeah.
Sorry, where was I?
Kool-Aid Man.
The Death Battle, Kool Aid Man. I got cast, and that was crazy. And the very next one was Dio, which I would later learn. And I because apparently there's a lot of people that talk on like Reddit and Discord and stuff. And I got passed on by one of the writers, Liam,
Yeah,
who
yeah.
told me that I had won an award among the Death Battle people for like one of the best performances of that
Huh.
season, which was
That's
crazy to hear about, because I just I didn't know. I was it
well
was just it
deserved,
was
honestly. Well deserved.
Yeah,
Oh my
it's
god.
crazy. I didn't know that there was such like a dedication to the behind the scenes stuff among
Yeah.
the fans like that. And I had popped into the Reddit, and people are very intricate about the mathematics of the
Yeah.
fights and the statistics and how they feel about like the production stuff, and it's been really cool. That was really nice to hear that people liked
Yeah.
Dio especially.
I
Um
remember getting Rooster Teeth first just to watch the episode early because I knew because you actually announced you were voicing Dio for it, and I was like, oh my god, let's go! Then I saw you like having some some Twitter beef with Taka as Alucard, and that was pretty funny.
Yeah. Oh man, that was such a big deal, and because I know he's really well received as Alucard, both for Death Battle and just in general for Hellsing Abridged. So it was a kind of a big deal for him coming back in the first place as that character, and I was like, I get to verse Takahata 101. Like I'm a big fan of Dragon Ball Z Abridged.
Yeah,
I watched it a whole bunch throughout high school. I remember watching through high school, and then I paused and I caught up again during college, and that's where they got
yeah,
to around the Cell Saga. And it's such a dedicated crew.
yeah.
They're awesome. But yeah, Dio versus Alucard was a lot of fun to do, and that's one of my personal favorites. Personally, the next one was that one, I mean they're all freaking awesome, and Omni Man was the next
Yeah.
one. That one was fun and also challenging because I really wanted to get like J.K. Simmons kind of down.
You did a really
Like
good
it's gonna
job.
I appreciate that. I know there's like a difference a bit in the voice, but I wanted to get just like certain inflections and intonations just right. And Young Ye, um,
As Homelander,
who
he killed it, man. He did a great job.
absolutely incredible. Oh my god, the screams.
This is like my favorite like written like death battle. It's really one of my favorites. I think Dio and Alucard's probably my personal favorite because I remember messaging you about Dio like holy shit you did fucking awesome man oh dude that was so good.
You know, it's crazy. I was a fan of him when he was covering Metal Gear Solid 5 news. He has a whole channel. That's what I knew him for. I didn't know what got him into voice work, but I had been watching his stuff when he was before Metal Gear Solid 5 came out because I'm a big Metal Gear Solid fan. I was looking up stuff on Reddit about theories and possible connections to the story and things like a lot of the speculation about the game. And he made a long series of videos kind of covering the play-by-plays for a lot of the different stuff. So that's how I knew him. His voice was already iconic to me.
Yeah,
And then I'm in the same video as him for Death Battle. I thought it was awesome.
yeah.
And he did so great. And now he got cast as the protagonist in Yakuza, right?
Yeah. Is it Kiryu or is it something like that? Yeah, because he's doing great. He also got into JoJo. He plays Poochie in Part 6, who's
Yeah.
His boyfriend.
I've still been pushing off part 6, not for any malicious reason, I promise. I just want to it's always hard for me to start something new when it
Yeah,
comes to shows. I finally, after years of being told to watch it, started watching Letterkenny,
no, fair enough.
which is a great show. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Have you seen it?
I've heard of it. I haven't watched it yet, but
It's really funny. It's
I
really
also get
nice.
recommendations to watch it
It
too.
is my favorite genre of any content to consume, which is just a bunch of guys sitting around drinking beers and talking about basically nothing.
Hell,
So like I've always been a fan of that kind of just a bunch of dudes talking, a bunch of people just talking like Seinfeld. I was talking to people about how Red versus Blue is coming back for that final season, and I had been watching them. I remember watching that starting in middle school and high school, and I in the last couple of years I just decided to revisit, found out it aged surprisingly well,
yeah,
and I watched all the way up to like season 13 because that's like one of the definitive ending points. I know they had other seasons. I just kind of stopped around there. And apparently this next season is going to be written by the original guys now because they had left after season 13 or 14. So I'm like, as the inner like high schooler me who has been really appreciative of that series is like kind of like, yo, it's going to be crazy. Like it's the final season. That means a lot.
hell yeah. How what was it? Like getting back to Death Battle and stuff. What was it? What was it like voicing SpongeBob? Just doing that.
First of all, thank you for enduring my ADHD
Oh,
tree
no worries, man.
branches.
No worries, man. I wouldn't have you guys. I would have people on if you didn't do it. So honestly, by all means, go ahead. Don't let me stop you.
SpongeBob is someone I've done as a joke among friends and stuff, but I never thought myself as somebody who could just go up and do it. Like I don't know. When I got the audition for it, I said, the hell with it. Like let me give it a shot. And with the idea, I remember a clip of Tom Kenny when he does a laugh and how he pinches. It's so I'm thinking like cheating in those little ways, um, to really kind of capture that. But just like one of the things I try to go into when it comes to like impersonating people is if I can't get the voice, at least try and get the essence, I guess,
Yeah.
because every voice is going to be different in some minuscule way. Even if as pitch perfect as it is, there's still got to be something that you bring to the table yourself. So with SpongeBob, I'm like, I'm gonna bring in as much as I can that is the character, and obviously Tom Kenny's voice is going to be something I'm drawing inspiration from. Um, but whatever I did, it's they brought me on, and that was fun. It was the one I was the most nervous about because that's the one that is harder to get than any of the other things I feel like I might have voiced.
Yeah.
Because Omni Man, like you, like even if you don't get a perfect J.K. Simmons, you could get that kind of character. Even if you know perfectly Patrick Seitz, you could still get like an essence of Dio. And Kool Aid Man says, "Oh yeah," I'm just in the range for that. SpongeBob is such a beloved character, and notoriously from Tom Kenny, who himself has such a distinct voice. That was the character I was the most nervous that people would hopefully like just enough to say that it works for the character. Um, but the end product I ended up being very proud of, given
Hell
any
yeah.
obstacles that would have came with it.
And your most recent one, a little guy next to Chosen Undead. Yeah. No, that
Chosen Undead.
I reckon because that's like the one that's like apart from Kool Aid Man, it's like the one that was like closest to your like natural range because you do that voice quite a lot actually, at least for the memes.
Oh, like which one? Like the Kool Aid Man kind of voice?
No, no, the one for Chosen Undead because you kind of do that like very like medieval sort of fancy voice for the
Ah,
memes.
yes.
It's like,
Yeah, that's just like a fun. It's a fun place for my voice to sit. When I think of someone from high fantasy, I tend to go there. You know, it is. I had watched a lot of Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings and absorbed a lot of fantasy content through the years. I just like I'm always. It's just a fun accent to do, so
hell
it's
yeah.
sort of an easy one to go to.
And yeah, yeah, I hope to get in Death Battle at some point. I am on SoundCans as of 2022, but I asked I sent an email about like, hey, could I be in Death Battle? And they were like, actually, we're not casting for Death Battle anymore. So I kind of missed my chance with them.
Sound Cadence isn't casting for Death Battle anymore.
No, they announced that like if like a I think a month or two ago that they're no longer doing it. I think this is the last season that they're casting for Death Battle, I believe. And then I
Oh,
don't know where they're gonna source up afterwards, but yeah. Hopefully still so hopefully I'm still able to do it at some point.
that's interesting. Okay.
You kind of mentioned this before, but with the whole Dragon Ball Z abridged, but I saw you actually worked with Team 4 Star on a couple of things with the JoJo abridged at least.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I was some extras in there. Particularly, the more prominent of the two was me as the card, the guy dealing the cards, the
Oh,
trickster. I
Darby.
forget his name.
Yeah,
Darby,
yeah.
yes. And I had to do a intentionally bad Cajun accent.
Yeah.
There was something along those lines. It was. I don't even remember how I did it. I had to learn like very quickly how to do it, even just decent. Because part of the joke was that it wasn't all that good of an accent. So I was just like, let me just get the beats right. But apparently, I don't know. It was as good as I could do at the time. I want to. I always have a fascination for trying to learn different accents.
Hell yeah, you totally should,
Um,
man. And yeah, you also played Oingo, but I got, censored out for Zendata. and
that was the one. Yeah.
and then you also played I think the first one for part 3, you also played I think it's Judgment, where it's like bring back Little Bush.
Yes.
That he's not even the
Little
president
Bush.
anymore. He's not even the president anymore.
Right. Yeah, yeah. That's right. Yes. No, he was that was a lot of fun. I think that was the first time I had ever actually worked with Team 4 Star on a thing.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if it was before or after. It might have been somewhere between, it might have been after, but I reached out to Scott about a collab idea that I thought would be funny involving He-Man and Skeletor. Just like an idea that came in my head, and I knew that he was popular for like a good. I mean, he's obviously popular for a whole bunch of reasons, but one of the things that was going around was his Skeletor voice, and I
Yeah.
thought I had a decent enough He-Man voice, so I had this idea for collab, and it was a lot of fun. Scott's a great guy.
Yeah, what was it like working with Kaiser slash Scott? Did you work remotely or did you work in person? Because I think you were in Texas at the time. I
At that time, I believe I was I back home? No, I was still in Georgia.
Yeah.
I think so. I might have been. It's all kind of a blur where I was, but I know I got to work with him on that. It's just like a fun idea, and he's just a really cool guy, and
Yeah.
we shared similarities in turn as people with ADHD. We're um very passionate about stuff, and we could go on for ages about any sort of thing and go off to any sort of topic. So we got along really well when we talked, and and obviously we've talked since, like, because I got to collaborate on the JoJo thing,
Yeah.
and yeah, no, it's just a really cool group.
Hell yeah. Speaking of voiceover stuff, as a like, I say this as of we've not been talking about voiceover the entire time, but yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a thing that we
Yeah.
do, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I know you do it. Do I do it? I don't know.
I think you do for a while actually, I think. Yeah. um
Maybe.
but yeah, are there any like any dream roles or like for like future like franchises or anything like that that you if you got like this role or even like the audition for would what's like that sort of like franchise or something that you would like pop off like knowing that it's in your grasp, that kind of thing.
Oh, I mean, if we want to do, if we had to do it in tiers, right? Like just basic tiers. I mentioned Death Battle as a bucket list because I knew it was something I really liked and cared about. Getting on something that I just knew about and liked and getting there was a bucket list thing as it was. So doing that for Death Battle and for Team 4 Star, um, with the JoJo and just even just a collab on the He-Man thing. I was just like, that's so fun and funny. And if we're going deeper into the industry and stuff, among dream roles I always had a fascination for the Transformers, and
Yeah.
I do some funny stuff online where I voice Optimus Prime, but I also would really like to be Optimus Prime in a project. That would be such a cool thing to do.
Hell yeah. Weren't you Optimus Prime in Smite? I'm pretty sure you were, right?
No, that was a different guy.
A
That was the
different
same
guy.
guy. I was only in Smite just this year.
Yeah,
It
as
was
the
two
as little
different
dog
skin.
doggo. Yeah.
A dog with a business suit, mind you,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My
sophisticated
bad.
gentleman
My
who runs a
bad.
business. And I was also Marticulus. Is that how you pronounce it? It was a
I
skin
think so.
for
Yeah.
he's a chimera, but I was an alien skin, and it was just conquer. It's just like very just like animalistic and domineering, and that was a lot of fun. It was funny because I got booked both at the same time, and I did both
Oh,
in one
nice.
session.
I got
It
really
was
into
funny.
them. Yeah.
It's funny going from one to the other because they're drastically different characters.
Yeah.
But no, the guy who did Optimus Prime in Smite is the same guy who did it in War for Cybertron, the Netflix trilogy,
Oh, nice.
and it has probably done it for other stuff as well. But if I ever had a shot at Optimus Prime for like some other independent project, like if someone was willing to take me on, like that would be one of them up there. If the one tier up from there, like we're talking the tip top, it would be, for one thing, just being in a Star Wars project in general, like
Yeah.
an official Star Wars project. But I've always pushed for the idea of like being able to voice Darth Vader in something. It's a voice I've played with for years, and it's a character I am especially I've been fond of ever since I was a Star Wars fan. And I've made a lot of funny posts with Vader and doing his voice for it. So a lot of people who follow me have known that I really like the character. And if by some stretch of the imagination I ever got that, I could just quit voice acting. I wouldn't need to do anything else. I'd have nothing else to prove. If I was the voice of Darth Vader in an official Star Wars product, I don't have to work again. I'll quit because I'll quit while I'm at the peak. That to me would be peak if I ever got that.
Not fair enough.
It's something it's a dream. It is a dream, but it would be something out of this world if I ever got to do it on an official capacity.
Hell yeah, I feel like you will at some point. You know, I'm praying for you, man. I really hope you get the chance to voice Darth Vader.
It's oh man, I would gun it if there's a window. I'm jumping through it.
Hell yeah. And just to bring this interview to a close, I give you one last question, my dude.
Hit me.
All right, so to like any voice actors that are already doing their thing and aspiring voice actors or even like content creators, what's like some pieces of advice that you would give to them?
Gosh,
It's a big question.
because there's a lot. Yeah, no, it is because, and it's a good question that I want to give. Like, not like a canned answer. Like, just follow your dreams and believe in yourself. Of course you
Yeah,
do. Of course you follow your dreams. Of course you believe in yourself. But I know the parts that are hardest is when you're in there. What does it mean? What does the path look like when you're following it? When people say you just got to practice, what does that even mean? What does that look like?
yeah,
And being open to learning and being willing to unlearn what you have learned is kind of a big step in that kind of journey as an actor, right? If we're talking, forget about climbing the ladder itself, just about the performance in and of itself, being open to other, being open to feedback and exposure to other performances, and study, and by study I mean listen to other people, watch other actors, like on and in movies even, because acting is acting throughout. And you in this, and it was some of the best training I ever got for voiceover had nothing to do with voiceover. It was when I was doing a class for a year at the Working Actor Studio in New York to learn about monologues, theater monologues, and learning about the control you have to bring to yourself to bring out the best of a character, knowing that you're not so much acting an emotion as you are reacting, and that entices the emotions in you. It has a lot of what I've learned has less to do with how I sound and more about what I feel and how to utilize my experiences, building that toolbox to create full on characters when you have only so little context, or when you're trying to read the subtext of a script and knowing what a character might sound like when they're thinking certain things, when they're reacting to certain pieces of information, what they're showing and also what they're not showing, because a lot of a person can be told by what they're trying to hold back. So if anyone's ever worried about their performance, it comes down to shedding down a lot of walls and embracing the vulnerable. Don't be afraid to be in touch with yourself. Obviously, treat yourself well, and don't put yourself in the dark places when you don't need to be. Know that it's something that can be very fun when you just let yourself loose like that. When you get into the industry and all that, I'm still somebody who's climbing up. I'm not AAA or anything. I could proudly say I've done some big projects. I'm in big video games now. I did something for Marvel, which is insane still to me. And one of the biggest things I would say first of all is just to be kind and always treat everyone kindly, the way that you would want to be treated. It's
100%.
a lot of the times people, one of the biggest things that people would complain about is if someone's not easy to work with.
Yeah,
So be easy to work with, be easy to direct, be someone that people can rely on, be on time, be flexible. It's super important to be someone that people can rely on in an industry where there's a lot of people competing, and it's possible that a lot of things can go wrong. Know about your tech, know about your tech, and treat your room spaces, make sure it's, you know, a good quality before even worrying about the microphone. You patch up your
100%.
your
Yeah,
space. That's the most important thing. And when you're past all that and you're just trying to like find out how to keep moving forward, it comes down to talking to people. It comes down to networking, and the best way to network is to, if not just among your colleagues, don't be afraid to reach out to friends in the industry that have any sort of questions you might have. Obviously, you're not making friends just for that.
100%.
Never. That's another thing. Don't ever think of people as just a stepping stone, because they're not. We're all people
Yeah,
here. We're all here to
exactly.
vibe. We just happen to do the same things that we like.
Yeah, don't be friends with people for like the sole purpose of making yourself look more hireable, you know? Just have
Yeah, but
fun.
that's not whether I say it or not. Is it just comes down to people. It comes down to the authenticity of people, and just coming as you are, and bringing your love for the art with you where you go, and sharing that, and sharing yourself, because that's intertwined. When you're sharing your performance arts, you're bringing yourself. So bring everything with you when you meet people.
Yeah.
And as far as you keep networking, taking classes is kind of a good step to meeting people, particularly classes with casting directors, people who are still casting, because they're people who will know what the market is like, what they are looking for, and trusting your gut. If something seems right, go for it. If something seems off, it's weird. It's weird when you're told that, and it's like, how do you know? It's like, it's weird when you're in the situation and then you're like, oh, this feels like that gut thing that's telling me not to do it. Like if something seems kind of sketchy, if some project just looks kind of off, ask some questions, ask other people questions. We're all kind of in this together. As competitive as it can be, we're all, I believe in the idea of we're all kind of rooting for each other. So that's what I would want for people, is to treat others well while we're all on the same path.
100%, man. And yeah, anything for like content creators or anything like that? Is it like the same? Is that like the same? Same advice goes to them as well.
Content creators, like just people who make videos and stuff.
Yeah, like videos, just like content, like just like anything. Like if it's like a fun project or
Oh
something,
yeah,
like just
my main thing about, oh sorry, yeah, no, yeah, what were we saying?
oh, just saying, just like people just make stuff full of lols and just stuff anyway. You know, just
Yeah, don't be afraid to do that either. Some of the work I've gotten is because of random posts that were made to be completely silly. And if you have an idea and you believe in it, but you worry it might not be something that's liked by people, there's no harm in doing it anyway, at least for the practice, at least to exercise your skills, because people might be geared to think that it's about getting the numbers, but it's something for the resume, at least. Like if you put a lot of effort into something and it displays your art as an editor, as an animator, as an artist of some kind, it's still worth it, I would think. And I think it's
oh, yeah.
admirable and respectable that people put a lot of time and passion into projects, even if it's for some silly little thing. Like some of the funniest things I've seen are because of the amount of work that went into it. Sometimes it's only 15 seconds, and people put like these little details that most people may not have thought to do. So I would say, as far as content creators go, feel free to experiment. Don't be afraid to make something that doesn't quite hit in terms of numbers. Be willing to try.
Hell yeah. And with that note, this interview comes to a close. Tom, thank you so goddamn much for coming on. It's a pleasure to have you. Pleasure to finally meet you face to face. And yeah, just if you have any like socials or anything, would you like to say them so I can link them in the description?
Sure, yeah. Tom Schalk. If you're trying to spell my name, it is chalk with an S in front of it. That's also how you pronounce it. I get a lot of different pronunciations for my name. I've gotten Schlack, Schullick. I've gotten Schullick. Someone threw in a second syllable one time. It's crazy. But if you're looking to find me, it's Tom Schalk. I have a website, tomschalkarts.com. It has my demos and some about my demo production as well. My Twitter you can find as Tom Schalk or Tom S the Voice. And those are the main ones.
Hell
If
yeah.
you're looking to email and maybe work on something professional, you can email me at tomschalkvo@gmail.com. That's all right, and that's pretty much the main ones I'm active on.
Hell yeah. And remember it's Shock, guys. It took me till the end of 2021 to realize it was Shock and not Shulk. So it's Shock, guys.
You did good. He did good. He did
Hell yeah.
fantastic, actually.
Oh, hell yeah. Thank you, man.
Yeah.
And but yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Tom, for coming on. And yeah, we'll see you for the next one.
Thank you
See
so much for having me, man.
No
Take care,
worries.
everybody.